Hi writers, how are you? Welcome to 2020. I promised you guys a goal setting intensive, and that is what we are here to do. I purposely waited to do this later in the month of January as opposed to when we first start, because we have all of these like hardcore goals or whatever when we first start 2020, and then like the first 2 weeks of 2020 we go in kind of the same way we left out of December 2019, right? And so then we get all disappointed in ourselves, and then we want to, start over again. So here we are at the end of January, and we've kind of gotten it all out of our systems, took a go at it the first time, perhaps fell down, and right now we are getting back up. It happens to everybody, so nobody be discouraged. Here is your new start at the end of January 2020, right? So my name is Gina Cole Rivers. I am the founder of Simply Stylus writing software and the digital writing course, Simply Writing an Aspiring Author's Guide to Creating a Solid Writing Process and finally writing their novel, which you can enroll in today at www.simplystyluswriting.com. The cart will be closing on that course at the end of January so that I can shift focus back to writing my own book and all of these webinars and tips and tricks and all that, those kind of things to help you guys, right? So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Goals are important. They give us vision and motivation to do the things that we need and want to do. There are two parts to goal setting, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, that we're going to discuss today, which consists of first setting the goal and then reaching the goal. So let's just go ahead and get started. Setting SMART goals. So I'm sure that you guys have all heard of SMART goals. It's a very popular concept. SMART is just an acronym made popular by Peter Drucker's Management by Objective concept. And basically what it shakes out to is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I think it's very important. I think SMART goals are very important, and I always try to set SMART goals because you really have to take into account all of the different dynamics that go along with a particular goal if you really want to reach it. And you really have to take those things into consideration, because if you don't and you're just creating this goal and you haven't really thought these things through, you're going to have a very, very hard time, right? So when we're setting our writing goals, I want us to make sure that they are SMART goals. And also I created a quick little downloadable PDF form for you guys that you can fill out for your own SMART goal, and make sure that you hit all of these different aspects, right? So first is specific. Often people tell me that they want to write a book, but that is really about the extent to which they have thought about it. They may have a few high-level ideas, but really not much more than that. But wanting to write a book is such a large and effort-intensive goal that you have got to be way more specific with yourself, if it is a goal that you actually want to reach. Getting specific about the goal is going to help you draw the map that you are going to have to follow in order to reach that goal. So let's say you have two people, right? And one of them says, I want to write a book. Okay, great. And the second person says, I want to write a fiction novel that follows the life of a young woman who is struggling through the process of getting a divorce while trying to continue loving herself within a devout family where divorce is forbidden and shamed. Who do you think is going to write their book? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but my bet is going to be on person number 2, because they have really thought about this and they already have a basic roadmap. They're already much closer to their goal than person 1, because they've set a very specific goal and have much more direction than person 1. If you plan on writing a book, get specific. Get like person 2. Next is measurable. This aspect is asking for a slightly more involved level of specificity. Without measurability, you can write a 90K book in 4 months, or you could spend the next year writing a book and look up and have 200,000, and have a huge novel, right? So here again, you need to be very specific about what it is that you want to accomplish. The more specific you are about the goal, the clearer the path becomes. If you decide that you want to write a 90K novel, a 90K word novel, you then need to also set your benchmarks, right? And let's say you set your benchmarks at 30K. And so once you hit 30K, you know that you are a third of the way there. And then once you hit another 30K, or maybe let's say you set another benchmark for 45K, then you're halfway there, and you're already celebrating hitting those benchmarks and gaining the confidence that you need to continue to get that steam to push through until the very end. Measurability is powerful because it gives you something more quantifiable and to hold on to throughout the process, and gives you reasons to celebrate yourself and your dedication along the way. You don't have to wait until everything is done, because writing a book is a very, very long process. And that's one of the things that is hardest about writing a book. A lot of things are quicker to accomplish. And a lot of people in other industries that have a shorter timeline, when they accomplish those things, they get to celebrate themselves. They get to have a win. They get to share that. They get to talk about that. But when you have a book, it's so long and you just feel like you're in the cave forever. You're not ever able to have any victories or to celebrate anything. And then once you put this measurability in place, it gives you like a lot more smaller chunks that are more tangible, that you can, celebrate and that you can share. And that's really going to give you a lot of motivation to keep going. So sorry. Let's move right along. Next is achievable. Yes, we can do anything we set our minds to, absolutely. But everything is a process, and everything consists of steps, which is why it is important to dream big, but to work realistically. You want to write a book, but at the end of the day, you may also have kids, you may have a home, you may have a day job, you may have a side hustle, you may have a lot of things going on. So you want to make sure that your goal setting is based in reality. Trying to write a 600-page saga in 2 months may not make the most sense, and that goal may set you up for failure in a lot of ways. So you want to make goals that are set for achieving, and as you achieve, you can work towards more epic goals. Next is relevant. This is basically your why. And we discuss this in great detail in Simply Writing as well, because the fact of the matter is that your why is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important. Again, because of the process of writing a book, because it can be so long, because it can be overwhelming, because it can be so discouraging, you have really got to fortify that why. And if it's not authentic in the whirlwind of writing your book, you'll get lost. And the only way to get back on track is really to circle back to this why. So it has to be authentic. It has to be strong. And why does this story, your why is going to be all about why the story needs to be told. Why does your story need to be told? And not only why does your story need to be told, but why are you the person to tell it? So get very, 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 very clear on that. And that is really going to help you shake out your relevancy. Last is time bound. Goals need deadlines, period. Now, those of you who follow me know that I am not even remotely of the school of writing your book in 48 hours or 4 days or anything like that. I don't get it. Books, especially narratives, are a specialty craft, point blank, period. They are say it with me. I want everybody to say it with me. Specialty craft. This isn't meant to be done in 48 hours. It isn't meant to be done in 4 days. It takes a lot of time and talent and attention and must be handled accordingly. But on the other hand, no one wants to be writing a book for 5 or 10 years. So there has to be some healthy deadlines in place. Your deadlines need to be based, once again, in reality and what makes sense for your life at the time. But putting a deadline on your goal is just what you need to light the stem on the dynamite that is your writing process and your ultimate goal. So now that we kind of understand how to set SMART goals, let's talk about how those goal setting techniques work hand in hand with the construction of your process. Process is another thing that I harp on a lot because process is super important. Again, you can have all the goals in the world, but if you do not have the daily process and the commitment to that process, all it is a goal that's over there somewhere, and you have, you know, no way to get there. So we all love goal setting. I'm gonna get back to what I actually wrote here. That's the easy part. The difficult thing about goals is understanding the importance of the process needed to push them to. So like I said, you can set all the best goals, but if you do not then construct the underlying process to reach those goals, all you have is point A and point B and no line in between. Where we started is point A with the vision, the goal setting that happened in part 1, what we just went over, is point B. The goal setting that happened in part 1 is point B. Now we are working on the line in between. Sorry. Pushing the process also keeps us from getting derailed by obstacles. It keeps us really, really focused. So in Simply Writing, I talk about writer's life quite a bit. And basically, writer's life is just a set of habits and processes that you commit to, 100,000% commit to, in order to make that shift from the person who has always wanted to write a book to writer. The most foundational part of writer's life is the process. Now that you know exactly what you want to write and what your deadlines are, it is time to determine how you will actually do this. So number 1 is, when will you write? Setting aside sacred and specify writing time every day or specified days of the week is a mandatory part of the process. If the thinking is just very vague, I'll write when I have time, guess what? You will never write any more than you have ever written before. You'll never get farther than you have gotten before. You must carve out time now and completely commit to it. So for how long will you write? As a follow-up to number 1, you have to decide how long you will write each day that you have set aside sacred writing time, whether that is 2 hours or 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. You need to decide on it and you need to commit to it. Number 3 is, where will you write? Carving out a sacred space for your writing is almost as important as carving out a sacred time. Not as important, but almost as important. It doesn't matter whether the space is a large office or a corner of the couch, as long as it's quiet and it gives you the headspace that you need to get into your story and to get that story on paper. That is all that matters. So this is the foundation. If you are able to really commit to sitting down and fleshing out these goals and writing out these goals, and then committing to the 3 steps, the 3 foundational steps of the process, you're well on your way to starting and finishing your novel. So also, I just want to go over my paper is just all crumpled up and it looks terrible, but basically this is the handout that I created, and it's basically just a place for you to write out what we just talked about. The SMART goal, specific. What is your writing goal? Be very specific. Measurable. How much will you write? What are your benchmarks for that goal? Don't forget your benchmarks. Your benchmarks are super, super important. Achievable. Is this goal attainable considering other aspects of your life? It's not whether or not the goal is attainable. Most of the time, yes, the goal is attainable, but you also have other goals. And so you have to be able to reach these writing goals along with all of the other goals that you have. So you it's a bit of a balancing act, and it's really something to think about. It's not just like, oh, I can achieve any goal. Well, yeah, you probably can, but I don't know if that's the most mature way to look at all the goals that you have set. They have to work together with one another. Relevant. Why does your story need to be told, and why are you the one to tell it? This is probably, in my opinion, the most important one. Your why is everything. And then last is time bound. When do you want to have this goal complete? So hopefully you will print this out and you will actually go through this and you enjoyed this little mini workshop here to kind of get you guys on the right track to starting and or finishing your novel this year. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, definitely comment and tell me what your writing goal is for this year, because I am super, super excited to hear it. My goal is to finish my work in progress. Can't wait to get there, and I can't wait to see you guys there either. Happy writing.